Hey guys, welcome back to User Experience Points. This week we're going to take another break from the usual formula of covering a specific game, and instead we're going to talk about a console, the PlayStation 4. I've done quite a few episodes of UXP on PlayStation 4 games because I've got a pretty steady stream of free ones thanks to PlayStation Plus, and it's pretty easy to capture from. Although I still haven't quite figured out how to capture footage that doesn't sound like this in certain games. Seriously, does anyone else have this problem with the Hauppauge? Let me know. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time with this console, and it has some excellent UX design examples, both stemming from the solid foundation laid out at launch and some really cool features that have been added recently. So let's start with the console's main menu. This basically takes the form of two rows. The first row is your library. This is where all of the applications on your console live. This includes the store, a news feed, some extra applications like YouTube and stuff, and of course, all of your games. The second row is basically everything else, notifications, your profile, trophies, settings, that sort of thing. It's a very effective and elegant logical progression from the XMB or cross-media bar that was used on the PlayStation 3 and the PSP, which was only one row and scrolled quite a bit. So first of all, let's take a quick overall look at the top row. Now, as much as I'd like to drill into each of these sections and cover them individually, that's probably an entire episode by itself. And it would probably be a pretty boring one. None of these menus has anything particularly remarkable about it. They're not necessarily bad, they're just not interesting. What's cool about this part of the interface is the way its top-level interactions work. Selecting each of the sections gives you a quick snippet of information if it makes sense to do so. This is actually a really excellent example of restraint. See, most designers would instinctively try to think of a way for each section to have some sort of snippet to put up there just for the sake of consistency, but that doesn't always make sense. What would you even put up there for settings? Part of what makes a good UX designer is fighting that visual designer instinct to complete patterns and make everything fit together perfectly. Designing positive, logical interactions is top priority. Even now, the visual designer in me is fighting the urge to gush about the icons used in the theme that I currently have installed. Another excellent design choice is the way this row minimizes when you're on the second row, providing only relevant information that might need to direct you up to it. This includes your latest notification, how many of your friends are online, which profile is currently logged in, your trophies, and the current time so you could realize that you've stayed up way too late playing Bloodborne. Now, while the first row has changed very little since launch, the library had to go through a few upgrades to make it the positive user experience it is now. Originally, the library was pretty bare bones. It was just a long, scrolling row only organized by recent usage. This meant it could go pretty much forever depending on how many applications you had installed on the console. Thankfully, that is now limited to the last 15 applications you used and ends with a menu item that takes you to the rest of your library in a much more organized menu that you can even sort. A nice touch here is that between the three filters that are available, the sorts are actually remembered. So here, when I'm looking at everything, I have it sorted by most recently used, but when I'm looking for a specific game or application, they're in alphabetical order. Overall, I consider this menu a pretty impressive achievement in the way that it manages to maintain the PlayStation identity with its horizontal rows, while also incorporating modern interactions like directional navigation and tile-based layouts. Next, let's talk about the What's New section, which is effectively a Facebook newsfeed for your PlayStation friends. What's kind of interesting about this section is that it's effectively a mutually beneficial design for Sony as a business and its users. From the user perspective, you have this neat newsfeed so you can see what your PlayStation friends have been up to recently. Sony gets to promote software on its console in a way that is non-intrusive and relevant at point of use. This creates a much more organic experience for discovering new games. For example, if I didn't have Destiny already and I saw one of my friends was playing it and checked out their activity and then saw an awesome trailer for it, I would think, wow, maybe I should pick this game up. The pattern for opening the What's New menu is also very effectively reused when you browse games in the library, basically giving you a more focused version of the same experience tied to that specific game. Alright, we've been talking about good stuff. Let's talk about something bad for a bit. The PlayStation Store is kind of a mess. The organization changes constantly and is completely driven by promotions. Now this makes sense because you're in an environment that wants you to buy stuff. But unlike the cool stuff I just showed you in the What's New section, advertisements constantly get in your way. Each section leads to a list of things you can buy, but not before you scroll past a few advertisements first. This wouldn't be as big of a deal if the ad placement was at least a little bit more consistent, but it's all over the place. I mean, what the hell is American Sniper doing over here with its own section? Shouldn't that be at the top of the movies section or something? Honestly, the only nice thing I can say about the store is that it does provide very clear and concise copy that explains exactly what's going on when you download a free PlayStation Plus game. Okay, back to the good stuff. The share button is the coolest thing ever. Thanks to this feature, I've captured dozens of silly, awesome, or just strange video game moments. And it's all thanks to how freaking easy it is. On the PlayStation 4, sharing is dedicated to an actual button. You hit it, make some edits to your video clip or image, upload it, and you're back in the game. This whole process usually takes less than 30 seconds thanks to a very slick editing interface, and the super cool motion-controlled predictive keyboard. I'm very impressed by two user-centric features that I discovered while capturing footage. The first allows you to customize the way the share button works in case you want to make screenshots easier. The second is a pop-up that triggered right when I started a game, informing me that my hard drive was too full to record any more footage. Such smart design choices come from designers who actually take the time to do user research. Somebody at Sony knew that users would be extremely frustrated if they tried to upload a gameplay clip of something amazing that could never be repeated happen, only to find out that the console hadn't been recording this whole time because the hard drive was full. Prompting users at this point allows them to close the game and go delete some stuff so that their hard drive has room if they intended to record some footage, or they can just ignore it if they didn't plan on recording anything. Seriously, if you work in a creative field and you have user researchers at your disposal, you'll be unstoppable if you put them to work. My team does it all the time and our designs are all the better for it. Okay, this is getting a bit long, but I just have to take some time to gush about the recent accessibility update. This is so important. Recently, several features were added to the PlayStation 4 to allow people with disabilities to better enjoy the console. This includes text-to-speech, a manual zoom, being able to invert the colors, larger, bolder text, high contrast, even the ability to remap every button on the controller. I mean, there's nothing really to analyze here. This is incredible. Accessibility is paramount to making a positive user experience that everyone can enjoy. And that's all I've got time for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, you should definitely subscribe if you haven't already because I upload a new episode of UXP every Friday. And I haven't said this in a while, but you should absolutely reach out to me if you have any feedback for the show, ideas for future episodes, anything like that. I love hearing from you guys. And with that, I'll see you all next week.